Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our morning get-together live here on Facebook. And today is Friday, April 7th. Thank God it's Friday. It is Friday of Semana Santa, and we are going to have some news to share today, as always, as we go through, survive, enjoy, avoid, fill in the blank, Semana Santa and all its activities. It is a pleasure to welcome you, as always, and I'd like to, as always, particularly welcome those of you that are watching live for the first time. Please feel free to let us know by writing a comment that reads new. And if you do that, we'll give you a nice little welcome. And for those of you that enjoy having a conversation among yourselves, that is, of course, most welcome. But if you want to get my attention, a capital letter Q at the beginning of your comment goes a long way in helping me find your comments during the comment section. And today, we are going to demonstrate how that works. As yesterday, we may have said some things that may have ruffled some feathers. But first, we are going to look at our news. And most of the news that we have to report today have to do with Semana Santa, of course. Semana Santa being now. It is Semana Santa Friday. And in this one, our friends from Riviera Nayarit are reporting an 86% occupancy in region hotels, along with intense traffic that began yesterday afternoon. Now, 86% may seem like an abstract number, but when you consider that the estimated number of hotel rooms in Riviera Nayarit is 15,140 rooms, 80% comes out to be 13,036 hotel rooms that are full of guests. And that is a ton of people. And that, of course, is just in Riviera Nayarit. Puerto Vallarta is expecting an even higher occupancy rate. Here in Puerto Vallarta, Tribuna de la Bahía reports a considerable amount of beachgoers, a considerable increase around the area of Los Muertos, along with long lines at restaurants in Olas Altas and surrounding areas. This, of course, is a great opportunity for us locals to go and dine out elsewhere or to simply dine in. Now, at some local beach accesses, authorities are keeping things safe for everyone by setting up inspection points in which coolers and backpacks are inspected to prevent people from entering the beach with glass containers and chingaderas that may be or may function as weapons, along with stopping musicians from entering the beach. We mentioned this yesterday. Semarnat, which is the Natural Resources and Environment Secretary, has decided to tighten a leash on an existing law that prevents musicians from entering the beach. Some people didn't like that. Other people said, thank goodness. You know, you can't please everybody. Semana Santa does not only attract tourists to the region. It also attracts people looking for opportunities, and that, of course, includes a hefty number of irregular vendors trying to cash in on tourists enjoying their vacation at the beach and other federal zones. To that effect, city officials are patrolling our beaches on a regular basis to ensure that all vendors have their permits at hand, one or the other. And that includes folks that arbitrarily enclose portions of the beach to rent out umbrellas. And, you cannot do that. It's not a nice thing to do, but some people insist on doing that. And last, just for a little bit of national news perspective and to keep things interesting, we know that Mexico and the United States have been going back and forth, pointing fingers at one another for blame in the war against fentanyl addiction that is afflicting both countries. The United States blames Mexico for not tightening control on cartels, and Mexico blames the United States for not doing enough internally to stop the behavior, to stop the addiction. It is also known, apparently, that while fentanyl is produced in Mexico, a large amount of fentanyl or ingredients needed to make fentanyl that pass through our country actually come from China. So last week, Mexico President Andrés López Obrador sent a letter to his Chinese counterpart asking for help in curtailing illegal fentanyl traffic from China to Mexico. And this week, China's Ministry of External Affairs answered back. And what did they have to say? There is no illegal traffic of fentanyl between China and Mexico. So China denied it. China also said that the United States should do more to control their own internal affairs and enforce tighter regulation within its borders, and thus reducing demand of the drug. Those are icy international relationships, if you ask me. Now, if only our weather was a little bit colder, we will see what we have. But first, my reaction to this fentanyl China crisis is, of course, an iguana fart. Why not? And there you go. I'm pushing all the wrong buttons. I love it. But I figured an iguana fart was a timely reaction to that. Now, let's take a look at our weather forecast just to see what's going on out there. Let me put it on my screen so that I can comment on it. Today seems like a great day to finally punch your boss in the mouth. He and or she has been asking for it. Well, I don't have a boss. You are my boss, but I am not going to punch you in the mouth. I'm going to let you know that today is 23 degrees, humidity is at 60, and our temperature in Fahrenheit degrees is 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Our weather forecast for today says clear skies through the day with a high of 28, a low of 16. Clear skies tomorrow, Saturday, with a high of 28 and a low of 16. And mostly cloudy skies on Sunday with a high of 29 and a low of 17. Not bad for the weekend. And now I want to, where are we? Are we ready for this? Yes, we are ready for this. I want to first, oh no, we're not ready for this. We're ready for that. And what is that? Well, I have two items for those of you that struggle with event organizers that are not particularly forthcoming with details. The first one has to do with the Oyster Festival announced to take place tomorrow and Sunday in Bucerias, thanks to this official image. And I say official only because it bears the logo of the Bahía de Banderas municipality. There will be live music on both days. And while we know who will be playing, we know very little about who they are or the times in which they will be performing. And apparently, the oyster tasting will only take place on Sunday, as that's what the flyer says, Domingo de Degustación. No information about whether you can eat oysters on Saturday or not. And ceviche will also be available for tasting on Sunday. Last but not least, let us remember that this is happening right on Semana Santa weekend, so you can expect, as our friend a singer friend Zoe Lewis likes to call it, a sea of humanity. There will be a sea of humanity here. There will be another sea of humanity at the Taco Festival tomorrow at Parque Hidalgo, so please go at your own risk. And secondly, since there was interest in religious activities during Semana Santa weekend and we couldn't find anything because we didn't see anything published, we actually suggested someone last week, or maybe it was earlier this week, to go and knock on the door of the church and find out what they are up to, as they are the people that are organizing these things. And now, thanks to cluster member Bart Pass, we know what to expect, as he actually went to the church where he found the door closed, but he found this large banner featuring the entire schedule for the weekend. Now, a big draw from the celebrations happens to be the Via Crucis, or recreation of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. And this will take place this morning at 11 o'clock. This is in 20 minutes from now. So if you don't want to miss it, stop watching, run to the church right now. If this is not important to you, kindly stick around, because I want to show you heavenly tacos. This is a taco tray of the new offerings at Whiskey Kitchen. Gina has been struggling with her Hot Fish and Chicks brand, which she wanted to put in another locale, but then that didn't work out. And now she's doing it at the same place where she's doing her restaurant. So now you can choose to dine inside of the restaurant and have the regular Whiskey Kitchen menu, or you can choose to sit outside at the curb. At the curb? I don't know. But she has all these wonderful tacos now available. Now, you are looking at vegetarian tacos made with cauliflower. You're looking at fish tacos. You're looking at, what else was there? Fish tacos, vegetarian tacos, potato and chorizo tacos. And then these are the shrimp tacos that Michael Beford absolutely loved, and we tried them, and they are all great. They are so delicious. They were absolutely wonderful, and they are affordably priced. Gina is dividing them between land tacos and sea tacos. The land tacos, I believe, are 25 pesos each, and the sea tacos, I forget if they are 40 or 45 pesos each, and Gina has created amazing specialty salsas to go along with all these taco offerings. I thought you should know. And of course, Whiskey Kitchen is not in the tourist zone. So, I mean, we were there yesterday and it was absolutely wonderful. Now, I want to address something that went on yesterday, just because I want to make sure that I didn't ruffle any feathers by mistake or chastise anyone, by giving you a little bit more of a tour of what goes on behind the screen here at Coffee and Headlines. I showed you a live version of us broadcasting the other day, and I wanted to show you my desktop and explain it somewhat. You see, here is the camera that is showing my little face, and this is the main control center. This is my laptop and where I control the broadcast. Here is my scene switcher, and this is what I use to push buttons to cue one thing or another. And then, of course, this is my side monitor, because there's a lot of things going on here in the middle. I rely on a second monitor where I can look at my news and I can look at the weather. And this is why when I'm looking at this monitor, I'm turning this way. Now, of course, you're seeing only my face when I show you this, but I can show you a little zoom of my actual desktop. And as you can see, the desktop is quite packed with things that I have to look at any given time when I am doing the broadcast. Now, I would like to conduct a little experiment. Oh, I'm not even showing you my desktop. There it is. Now, when you look at my desktop, of course, you're looking not only at the monitor that I'm looking at, which is my face. Here is where the different scenes that you look at, whether it's the intro scene or the headlines scene and so forth and so on. When I show you overlays that have to do with this, that, and the other, they are down here, like the Buy Me a Coffee overlay. The sound effects are down here. Whenever I give you a sound effect, I have to click on these. And of course, I am always vigilant of this one down here. This is my audio levels. My audio levels is this meter indicator that I'm showing you. And, it has to stay in the yellow. Sometimes it goes up to the red, and that means it overloads ever so slightly. But as long as it stays on the yellow more often than not, the levels of the broadcast are good. Sometimes the microphone is slightly closer to my face. Sometimes it's slightly further from my face. So that means that sometimes the show is a little louder. Sometimes it's a little softer. Now, pay attention to what's going on over here. These are your comments. So you wonder, perhaps, or maybe not, why it is that I ask you for a capital letter Q. And since I see that Chris just commented, your control center looks like you're working for NASA. And here I am invoking the control on the screen. Chris, do me a favor. And we're going to conduct a little experiment. I want to show you why it is difficult to track your comments or tell the difference between when you're talking to yourselves or responding to one another or whether you are addressing me. Do me a favor, Chris, and write your favorite Mexican food, and we will take a moment to check how long it takes for you to write your Mexican food and for it to show here on the screen. And we wait. And we wait. And we wait. And the waiting has nothing to do with you or me. The waiting, there you go. Chorizo tacos. So it took what? A good 20 seconds for your comment to show up on the screen. So what I want to show you here is two things. Number one, your comments make very little sense to me when yours truly or anybody that is producing a live broadcast like this solo has to be concentrating on so many other things at the same time. This is why I insist on your kindly adding a capital letter Q to your comments, because while I'm telling you the news or I'm cueing sounds or I'm doing this or I'm doing that, some of your comments just make no sense to me, not because they're not clear, but they are not readable in the proper timing or at the proper moment. For me to be able to read your comments in real time, I would have to go back and rewatch the entire broadcast, which sometimes I get a chance to do, sometimes I don't get a chance to do. Now, this shouldn't be your concern. It certainly is not my concern when I walk into the supermarket. When I walk into the supermarket, real time, thank you. That is a phrase that I was looking for. When I walk into the supermarket, I kind of take for granted that the place is going to be clean, that the shelves are going to be stocked, that the lights are going to be on, and that the temperature is going to be comfortable. These are things that I expect so that I can do my shopping. Sometimes the supermarket is a little cooler, sometimes it's not, but those are not deal breakers. I'm still going to get my shopping done. If somebody spilled something on an aisle and that makes it dangerous or slippery, that is a deal breaker. I will go and tell the manager that something like that happens. That would prevent me from enjoying a comfortable shopping expedition. So what does this have to do with Coffee and Headlines? Very simple. We start every day with two goals. Number one, to create nurturing connections. And number one, to make sure that you don't forget that we are supported by you. Otherwise, we cannot pay the rent, we cannot feed Luna, we cannot uh, subsist, exist. This is my sole source of income. So yesterday, I made some comments about whether, or I reacted to some comments about whether you could hear a 3-second, 5-second transition cue loudly or not. And my response to that was, why are, is it that important to you that the sound in the transitions is loud enough or not loud enough? And the only reason why I say that is because to me that's not a deal breaker. I mean, I'm still going to hope to give you all the content that you want or you need. I would not consider that a deal breaker. But when I read comments like, oh, it's okay now, or when I read a comment that says no sound, and it's an isolated comment, it is so incredibly distracting. I know that you do it with the best of intentions. And needless to say, if 10 people say no sound, then that means I've done something stupid and I need to correct it. Sometimes I will mute my See, I just muted my microphone. Sometimes I do it by mistake. So there are certain technical things that are truly important to me because, if you cannot hear me, if you cannot see me, if you cannot see on the screen what I am talking about, of course, that is a deal breaker. That is not going to allow you to connect. But when I read a comment that says the sound on the 3-second sound effect is not loud enough, I don't mean to chastise anyone, but to me, it's kind of like, me going to my friend Gina's restaurant to try her new tacos. And she asks me, well, what do you think? And I say to her, well, your metal wall seems a little bit rusty. No offense, but me telling Gina that the walls are rusty, does that contribute to the assessment that she needs to make sure that the food is great? Maybe some of you will think that it does. Maybe some of you will think that it doesn't. But to me, it's not important. So if you didn't hear any sound or transitions today, it's not because I'm chastising anyone. It is simply because I want you to connect with the information. And I want you to also appreciate how it is difficult to connect with some of your messages when I am not reading them in real time or when they are not more explanatory. And I thank you for that. Now, let's see what's on your mind. La, 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 la. I'm looking for good mornings as always, and I'm looking for cues as always. Let's see. See, Albert said to Karen Miller, about time. I had no idea what the fuck that was about, and that's okay. More good mornings. More good mornings. Some reactions to the iguana fart. Thank you for that. Let's see. Comments about the setup. Thank you for that. Still no cues. Here's a cue. Interesting to see the comments that you get that we can never see. Well, I certainly hope that you can see the comments. But if you cannot see the comments that I can see, then there's something going on between you and Facebook that unfortunately I cannot control. There's another cue. Most of my comments are not cue worthy, just happy to contribute. Nonsense. Fair enough, Deb. I just want you to keep in mind that while nonsense is wonderful, it just adds to the number of things I have to scroll through whenever I'm trying to find the important questions. Bill says, kind of staticky when you raise your voice. I know. I noticed myself going a little bit on the red. And that means it's a little louder than it should be. Again, as I mentioned, my mixer is on its final days, and I'm saving money for a new mixer or interface, and hopefully that is going to happen sometime soon. Paula asks, is there a food tradition for Easter? Lots of fish, no meats. At the get-together, can I make a contribution to you? You can make a contribution to me whenever you want, JC, and thank you very much for your support. It is always appreciated. Question from Chris. This is a comment. I know of a great street vendor with the best chorizo tacos. Well, Chris, do not tease us that way. Kindly share the location because I love good chorizo tacos. Chorizo and potatoes are really, really awesome. And Jeannie contributes, good morning. Love the behind the scenes view of the production of the show. Gracias. Well, yeah, that's what it takes. That's what it takes to do a solo show. Just so you know, other people that do live shows like mine rely on content moderators that can actually screen the comments so that when it's time to reference them online, it is a smoother process. But clearly, you can see why waiting for each comment to appear can be tiresome for the rest of folks out there. Last but not least, Bill says, we'll need to buy you some coffee. Well, I hope it's not a need, Bill. First of all, thank you, but I hope it's not a need. I hope it is a want, because nothing is necessary. You know, I rely or I bank on the fact that you will want to nurture the broadcast with support if it meets a need for you. You know, if you find connection with the comments and the information here, that's what we're here for. Chris says 1.5 blocks south of the Mismaloya Boca bus stop. Thank you very much. Not entirely sure of where that is because there's a couple of streets there. But hey, Chris, if you like this place and you frequent it, maybe next time you go, you can take a photograph of it. And if you do it with your cell phone, more often than not, the photograph will contain the GPS location of the place. Let's see. That's it. I think we're done. So watch me push the reminder button. And once again, thank you for your understanding. I don't expect you to have to how am I going to say this? I'm going to fuck it up. You know, I as I said before, I don't go into a restaurant or a supermarket wanting to know the behind the scenes stuff. I want to be served. But at the same time, I am so eager to show some empathy when things are not going right. And I certainly hope that you will find a way to share some empathy with me when things don't go exactly as they should here at Coffee and Headlines. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.